Welcome to another edition of Living with Purpose. Today I have with me Osama Manzar, who I admire a lot. I have known him now since early 2000, and he was this young man with a vision. But it was more than a vision, it was actually the ability to apply and to create a movement by which hundreds of thousands of people are being empowered all over India and hopefully in other parts of the world through the use of digital technology, where he's been the founder of the Digital Empowerment Foundation. But I think his claim to fame, which he actually does not talk about too much, that he has been a journalist, he has reported out on some amazing stories in India, changed some of the reporting pieces, but he is also an artist and he draws beautiful pictures and tells a story through pictures. So please join me in welcoming Osama. Osama, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
So let's talk. Talk to me about your parents, your family, where you were born, your upbringing, and then we'll slowly move into where you are today.
I was born in West Champaran. It's a district in Bihar where Gandhi is famous for started his journey of his movement. And I was born there, and it was undivided Bihar, which is now after divided as separated with another state called Jharkhand. I was born to a family or a husband and wife where my mother was just seventh or eighth class pass, and my father was an engineer, and he was also a first high schooler from his village in that area. I think I can pinpoint my growing period as divided between urban and rural because we were based in Ranchi. Ranchi is very well known. It's the capital of Jharkhand, but also known as Kashmir of South, of South Bihar, and Kashmir of eastern part of the country, close to Bengal and all that. Uh, but and it is also famous for contributing in 70s and 80s one of the highest number of IITs. So very well established missionary schools and colleges. So that means center of education. But imagine I was part of Ranchi as a center of education, studying in a school which was founded by my father for minorities, underprivileged minorities, but chose me and my brother and sister to go to that school and not to a missionary school or a convent school. It had five languages compulsory: English, Hindi, Urdu, Arabic, and Persian. It was compulsory. And then my father was an engineer, but by character, he was an educationist in terms of that. But the influence on me is more from my village, back in maternal village, where my grandfather, my mother's father, and family was also very well educated and in a good government job with plush houses and lots of land like zamindars and all that. And the reason why I like that growing and versus this growing is because growing in Ranchi was in strict conditions, disciplines of my father. Very disciplinarian, very strict about everything, about achievement, about being very good and in classes and all that. But in back home there, because that was only 2 months in summer vacation, he used to go to the village. But those 2 months was absolutely a Montessori. You know, nobody's watching you. You are going into the pond, you are fishing, you are climbing, you are running around. Even though you are the only house which has a toilet in the house, but never defecate in the house. Always going to the field and, search and go around and mango orchards and, hunting and, all those things. So, and then later, much later in life, and I when became very conscious and everything, I realized that, that impact was so strong that it made me what I am because of my open learning, because of my open growing, because of my unrestricted form of experimentation and so on and so forth. So you can literally ask, I mean, and that may be the reason why that I'm so comfortable with it. I'm so comfortable with it. I'm so comfortable with the wisdom of rural India. I mean, everybody sees rural India as poor. I also see them as poor, but not as poor in knowledge, but only in economy or in acquisition of finances. But in all other terms, I feel that the real wisdom and the real work and the real experience and the real knowledge and the real original knowledge always lies in the villages, and it feels so comfortable, irrespective of their land and so on. So and that's how I grew. But the second part of my growth was also I never was very keen on education. So even though I spent 8 years in Aligarh in my formative years of post high school, and I stayed there for 8 years, I could hardly achieve it. All my friends were doctors, engineers, and all that. And to prove a point that I could become something, I joined Air Force for 3 months and then left. And I'm sure you know, and many people know that joining forces or defense is easier than leaving it. Once you join defense, you can't leave. But so my claim to achievement of resilience is that I could manage to be officially, not random. I make a point that I can't exist here. I can't live here. I can't go here. And it's again because of I think restrictions, because of discipline, because of that. You know what people discipline with restriction is a thin line. You know? Yeah, for me, any hard discipline is a violation of freedom of expression. So that actually was very interesting. But somehow I managed to do journalism from Aligarh and came out. And the third part of my growth was 4 years living in Delhi without a job and having a girlfriend for those 4 years without a job and 4 years younger. And and no money flows from parents or anyone. So you can imagine 4 years of that time, not having a job, nothing in hand, living in South Delhi, in the slums and all that, what it would have been. But looking back, all these are amazing, amazing experiences. So I think my internship started at the age of 14 or 15, and it continued at the age of 27. And it had got resilience, it has got entrepreneurship learning, it has got risk taking learning, it has got not to be dependent on material world. It also taught me the nuances of poverty of India. It also taught me that actually it's a poverty that makes you equal, and it's not affluence that makes you equal. No, that's where most of the people live. It also taught me not to be absolutely sure about tomorrow. You know, it also taught me how to be very, very, very mindful of your ecosystem, of the neighbor's need, of the society's need, and so on and so forth. It also taught me that the real learning starts from the journey of life and not from the journey of classrooms and from the books and all that. Yeah, I mean, I can go on and on, but these are, I would say, was the formative years of what brought me in. How to actually build relationship naturally, and how to trust people actually. Because when you have nothing, the only thing you have is the trust. You know, because you have trust in the ecosystem that you will survive till tomorrow. In the given that it will take you next. Oh, it will take you to the next time, which actually does not come from the promises of the job or the people or anything. It comes from the belief in the unconscious or subconscious, right? It also taught me the most important thing is that never quit or never leave the ability to listening loudly your inner being. You know, that's the biggest strength one can have. And that thought was always there in me is that whatever I'm going through, whatever is happening is actually not something that bothers me. because I think I'm made for something bigger responsibility at once. Everybody would remember me from that time. I still remember that. I don't remember a misery in the never. You will find me that I'm smiling and talking about it like a badge of honor that I went through so much of issues and problems and all that. And I would add at the end is that why it is also miserable is that because I am my girlfriend was from a different faith and different past and religion, and turning it around and making it happen for us to go forward um, is also a kind of family or whatever the natural entrepreneurship, because it requires resilience and entrepreneurship to take risks and do what you want to do together along with it. So it was a partnership which actually so I always call our family is a family of social rights.
This is such a wonderful way to kind of talk about how one overcomes challenges, that relying on your inner strength and using that inner strength and using that very loud voice that comes from that inner strength to keep going. And then it's interesting that you actually use the word that you were always smiling and always laughing. And laughing through adversity is a unique gift for people.
Yeah, I think so.
So, to our listeners, it's also very important that how do you overcome adversity by laughing through it? Because one is always constantly searching for happiness. For happiness is like very fleeting.
Yeah.
You have to make a concerted effort to actually do something together with somebody else that allows you to get joy. So here you are, you've kind of got this 4 years, you start writing, you do journalism, you start challenging the status quo. So talk a little bit about that.
So since I was qualified journalist, but not a practically acceptable, what you call as the great writer kind of ability kind of journalist. So I was doing mostly freelance in my years of looking for a regular job. And my first job was Down to Earth magazine, which is very well known for environment and science circle. But it survived more than 2 months. And then my first formative, again, this is a life changing because I got a reporter sort of corresponding job in a magazine of computer magazine at that time in 1995, or rather end of 1994. You know that IDG publication Computer World. It's very well known in the US. At that time, it was launched in India, and I got a job. But more than the job, I got a very good editor. So she told me that, listen, when I used to write my reports, she used to change all the copy of my report. And I asked her that, this is not what I wrote. She said that, listen, you don't need to feel bad about changing the copy because the report is your information. It's not the writing. You are a reporter, correspondent. Once you will become very fluent in writing, you will get a different level of job. At the moment, you are correspondent. And that is exactly, I didn't get it down to it. So that really made me a kind of writer or an articulating a person. And from 1995 to 1997, I don't think there would be a single IT CEO or a MIS manager whom I had not interviewed and written about in the IT industry. And think about it. I come from a journalism background. I come from a physics graduation background, with a kind of failure. But here I learned everything about IT, being a correspondent and a journalist. And I worked so hard that Nissan Times picked me up in 1997 to head their internet division. At that time, .com era had just started. So I put in the Sun Times on .com. Then I, also created another entity, very, very much like Yahoo.com at that time for digital, and I named it Digital HT. So being a traditional newspaper publication, they were very hesitant to invest in new entity. of creating a directory kind of thing like Yahoo or a search engine like that. We created. And guess what? The day digital was announced, full page ad within its own newspaper, the same evening or the next day, got a call. The Sunlights owners got a call from Chase Capital for investing $9 million. Please make this as a separate entity, you know. And they got $9 million. And then that is again, by the way, this is again another result. They started looking for a new CEO. I said, these guys are crazy. They don't even know anything, and they are getting the CEO from outside, from Citibank and all that. I left HT. Imagine HT's job at that time was considered to be a job of a lifetime because it was very well with PF and everything. You are taken care of for life because it's a
Right.
kind of established organization.
And you're talking about the Hindustan Times, correct?
Hindustan Times, yes.
Yeah. So I just want our listeners to know HT is global audience, Hindustan Times. Very prominent.
Yes, yeah. It is India's one of the largest newspaper and North India's the prominent newspaper, the national newspaper at that time. I got them the face on .com and all their audiences were diaspora. So as soon as the newspaper will go to bed, the whole of diaspora will get up in the first thing in the morning, even before the Indians will read in the Sunshines. So, because they get only the newspaper in the morning, and it's hardly any online reader. But having said that, just going forward, I started a software company in 1999. And the job of the new company with a partner from tech background is to offer CMS for newspaper publication or any publication to go online, basically. And you name it, sometimes was already there. From Midday, Amar Ujala, Rashtriya Sahara, Dainik Jagran, Outlook Traveler, Outlook Money, Helka, all of them got online because of us or because, we made them. So suddenly, we just, so from print media and journalism in IT to an online media, new media, this experience was naturally giving me a curve of going somewhere, right? And being a journalist, even though I was doing business, I couldn't live without being a journalist. So I wrote a book in 2001 called Internet Economy of India. I don't know if you remember from Silicon Valley in the .com era, there is a magazine launched by IBT called Industry Standard. The Industry Standard. So I used to write for Industry Standard at that time, just 200 words every month in that weekly. And they used to pay me $1 a word. Yeah. So interesting, but that is giving me an international look, right?
Right.
That is giving me an international perspective. What is IT? Where the IT is going? And I'm searching and I'm living in this world of cyber movement and things like that. And then written the so Internet Economy of India at that time is a word and a phrase nobody could have imagined. People can't figure out even a normal economy, and we're talking about internet economy.
Yeah.
I wrote a book called Internet Economy of India. Incidentally, it became very popular because we calculated how much is the new money that came to it. Or people invested in internet, and it was $22 billion in 2000. At that time, $22 billion invested in India in the new stream of business, right? Which is interesting. We calculated by all the announcements and all the launches and everything. And that really put me into a doc in the next year, which is when I wrote that book, I stumbled upon what is digital divide, and that became the thought-provoking, issue in my mind. Is that digital divide? Oh my God, digital divide is like it means we're talking about everybody who do not have connectivity on internet or digital, and the whole country doesn't have it. But my thought process went in a different direction, not to provide internet or digital to the poorest of the poor or poor. But I thought, my God, this is such a medium which is available. Why can't we take it to the poorest of the poor to listen to them? to give them a voice, to give them a chance to talk to the world, and not be merely a consumer of world information or global information. So I actually started thinking that, how beautiful it would be that internet being a democratic messaging or democratic communication system will give chance to even the most poorest of the poor person to voice at equal footing as Dr. Paksha will have sitting in Silicon Valley, or anybody else, right? Because it doesn't ask you caste, creed, or something before putting on the web, or putting the information online. That is the thought started going in my mind. And the more thought started going, the more I started feeling unhappy with my current job situation of looking for a job at content management system and earning money for the organization. And in the middle of that, I get this scholarship or a fellowship from Chivni, British Chivni, asked me to do advanced management program in Manchester Business School. I said, what? And that is because of my book. They're very impressed that I'm a young CEO of a young IT company and they've written a book. They said, why don't you do this advanced course and we will pay for it? Achieving a scholarship is very, very famous, very well known.
Right.
You know, so everybody was very pushy that, yes, I should take it up and all that. So I took that one, I did that course, went to Manchester, went to London, came back, and then became even more pressured under my thought process. And that is the time that I might have met you and Paramati. And so the whole mind started working that what can I give to the world? Not take. I have taken degrees, I have taken money, I have taken, everything. The whole world is designed to take, And here my mind started working. Listen, the world is not about taking, the world is about giving, you know. And why am I thinking only about how do I make this big company or earn money and this? Here is a chance that I can give something. And giving is circular, right? When you give something, you keep on giving and coming back to you. But when you take something, it always lies, it lies with you on, right? So why don't I get into this giving formula, And that is when I said that here is this nirvana. Giving will be the basis of my next life. And doing this digital empowerment at the poorest of the poor to bring out their wisdom to the world will be my mission. So my vision is giving, and my format is giving, and my framework is giving, my discipline is giving, my religion is giving, my belief is giving, but my method is how to work with the most knowledgeable people who do not have the medium and the message to talk to them, who do not have authority to talk, who do not have a reach to the world, who are only the consumer in the globalization format. They are not the contributor in the globalization format, right? And can we take digital to them? Obviously, when you take the role to the people, first you become consumer, then you become producer, right? That's okay. But ultimately, we have to take it. And that's the way Digital Arts Foundation started. And I'm sure you all are part of that journey. And, you have seen how it has grown, how we have been doing it. And with a lot of fun again. It's not like getting charity, you're going to the charity potato, and things like that. It's a person, something to know. You know, provide this as their right. Provide this as their long awaited, medium to that, right? Provide it in such a way that you feel privileged to provide it rather than you feel a real provider like you're not, it's not a godly act. It's not an act, it is an act which was supposed to be done long, long time back, but it didn't happen. And that's the reason why a lot of fun you have seen out. They go to the reporters part and they're still laughing and smiling and all that. Everybody says, how do you want to do it? It's so difficult. I say, oh, we find it difficult to work with the people in the cities rather than the rural. That's where a lot of fun.
So, just for our listeners, because I mean, most of the audience don't know about Digital Empowerment Foundation. You can actually go look up the work online. But Osama, just talk a little bit about your vision of empowering every village in the country, in India, to have this access to share their knowledge through the digital medium, and what you have been able to achieve in the 20 plus years since you've been doing this.
For the people who are listening, Digital Empowerment Foundation is a vision and a mission of taking digital as a tool of communication, tool of medium and the message to the poorest of the poor, not because they are poorest of the poor, but take them so that we can acquire or we can reach for their knowledge to come out in the world. And and make it frugal rather than make it some, we always say that if a simple telephone line can solve the problem of communication and reach to the poorest of the poor, we don't need an iMac to go there, which is the costliest, right? We customize and we appropriate technology in such a way that it becomes extremely easy for the people in the villages. That why do we do villages? Because of very simple reason. Out of 1.4 million people in India, 9, 10 million is still people, right? You all know, everybody knows that the world economy goes down and up, but India's economy usually doesn't go down with the, downside of the financial system of the world. Why? Because India's economy is highly dependent on this rural population, micro and medium enterprises, which are 95 or 85% of all the MSMEs in India are the backbone. They are the backbone of the economy. But for us, they are also the backbone of the knowledge system, right? We have 600 GI location in the Google. GI is geographical indication, which is like equivalent to IP. We have 545 weaving clusters. They have the knowledge of design and weaving and making cloth. We have millions of, handcraft persons. All these are knowledge keepers and knowledgeers. We have the best agriculture systems in the country. Even large part of the country, even though with the fertilization and all those new technologies, they follow organic method to grow and they have a healthy food system. That is all knowledge of agriculture and everything. And the biggest knowledge is in India is that how to live frugally but happily, even with the most advanced technology around you. So I'm not against technology, but the resilience and the knowledge system that you have is that I can build this house cheap and economical. So I don't need to really buy these glass houses or need glass houses. I still have the best juices in my country. I don't need all this Pepsis and colas to meet my thirst, to quench my thirst. I have the best fruits in my country. I have the best soil in my country. I have the best craft in my country. I have the best designs in my country. All these are grassroots knowledge systems. How do we bring that out? Not only for the Indians in India, but also for the rest of the, right? The real life, the life of wisdom is always hyper, like a language. Always hyper, right? Even though Facebook is global, but the user is local. User wants to, write in Tamil or local language on Facebook for meeting a friend of his, right? So technology may be global. The usage is always local, right? So why not bring the local wisdom out with the help of the technology? So you don't become a slave of technology, but you use the technology for the benefit of yourself and for your neighbors, for the other people. That's what we do. And just in sheer number, out of 35 states in the country, 35 including Union territory, We are in 28 states. We have 2,500 centers, digital centers. All of them run by social entrepreneurs picked up from the village. 80% of them are run by women. Almost 35% run by PWs. And these are self-sustainable. Even if DF closes today, all the sectors will continue to run on its own. And what do? They become the local hub of information dissemination, access to information, access to health, access to food, access to everything, because everything is behind the firewall of information, right? Everything happens through information.
Yeah.
And our plan is to go to, it's not all the villages, but certainly all the village councils of the backward districts of the country and the remotest part of the country, which are actually, practically speaking, are still untouched.
So this is awesome. So again, for those of you that are interested in the work that Osama is doing, go check it out on his website, Digital Empowerment Foundation. So we're coming to the close of our time. So talk a little bit about, Osama, the importance of purpose and how purpose has driven you on your journey.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, of course, you can figure it out that we have chosen the life of driven by purpose, driven by the voice of the inner, driven by driven by considering doing something for the ecosystem is more important than considering doing anything for yourself, right? So it is certainly purpose driven, but that is not the challenge. You know, with purpose driven, the biggest challenge is to continuity of the life with purpose. You know, you can't, and that is the continuity only comes by being extremely truthful. Say, by the way, being truthful is also a practice. You cannot be correct for one day and you can be cheating people for the rest of the life. No, that doesn't work. So it is a practice. You have to do it every day. It is a practice to listen to yourself. It's a daily practice. You know, like the way you listen to the music which is outside, you have to listen to yourself, which is inside, which is regular, and that is how you do it. The third is that any purpose one chooses, I think it has to be applied to yourself and to your own family, to your own being. That started each, you know, because doing yourself itself is a preach. You know, itself is a so, I mean, you have seen that how our life is, our children have grown in a alternate education system. Gathering knowledge was more important, and learning was more important. You have attracted with my son, not my daughter as much. You know, my wife. We all live that life together in such a way that we get with a purpose. So always find it a good reasoning for doing any right. Good reason, not and that reasoning should not only satisfy you, always satisfy the ecosystem. And the third tool of purposeful life, I would say, is absolutely transparent. Absolutely transparent. So that you don't plan that my home life is different than my, daily life in the office. My work life is different. I mean, that's like saying in the work life, I'm absolutely being business oriented and transactional oriented without emotions. I become only emotional when I go home. You know? It's something like saying that, I'm being very truthful and honest to my family, but not being honest and truthful to the life which is serving the outside world during the day. So that means you are always planning yourself for two dual life. A life you only one. You are the same person. It just like you are delivering something else in the office environment and the home environment you are delivering. Deliverable may be different, but your ecosystem and your parameters and your methodologies cannot be different. No? So I always say that we have just one life, live one life absolutely transparently. You don't have to hide anything. You don't have to reveal again anything. You are just what you are. And
Yeah, I mean, again, so many people have said on our podcast that purpose gives them the ability to be authentic. You show up with authenticity in everything that you do
right.
and not just in a few things.
Uh,
So let's end the conversation with you giving us your one golden nugget, a piece of wisdom that you want to share with our listeners.
the most difficult thing in life is to be the most simple, truthful, straight, transparent. If you do that, then you don't have to plan anything. The system will plan, the ecosystem will plan.
That's just such a wonderful way to kind of talk about is that simplicity
Is the toughest thing.
is the toughest thing to achieve because we have been trained to think in complex terms.
Absolutely.
And purpose actually allows you to overcome that. One other thing I want to just kind of highlight to our listeners, which you said, which kind of struck me, is this whole notion of weaving and tapestry. That purpose actually allows you to weave these different strands together so that they are all interwoven and not separated out. So you're not living life separately in these different buckets, but you're actually interwoven as a tapestry, whether it's your family, whether it's your work, whether it's your faith, whether it's your community. It all gets woven as a rich tapestry. As a person that has believed in handloom and the power of handloom, again, go look at his blog post on LinkedIn on the power of handloom and what that does to you. You will get another insight on Osama. Osama, thank you very much again to the listeners. Purpose is that renewable source of energy that continues to drive humanity forward. Focus on your purpose. Be authentic. Osama, thank you so very much for being part of this conversation.
Thank you very much. And I hope that we get connected with a lot of people through this podcast.